First of all, I was born in Darfur, and that's in South Darfur. The city is called Niala. That's the capital city of South Darfur. And since I was a child, I went to British school. I studied primary school and also high school over there. And but in 2003, the government of Sudan has targeted the entire villages that we were living in, and then we had no choice but to flee our homeland and head to the cities where it was nearby. And so in 2003 and 4, so I was still living in the camp, in the refugee camp in Darfur, and that was in Kalma camp. It's the biggest camp in Darfur. And so, but the harassment of the government intelligence inside the camp pushed me to go to Egypt. But it wasn't very easy to go to Egypt because it was a pretty long journey. Like you had to take months to get to Egypt because you're going from city to another city, and that's when you're spending your entire day or month working, try to arrange for yourself, and no one cares about you because you escaped from the conflict zone and your family lives in a refugee camp. And so that was the reason let me escape to go to the north side of Darfur, which is neighboring Libya and also Egypt in this other part. And in that point I got some help from some people, in local people who were living in Al Fashir, in the capital city of North Darfur, and it's the ancient city of entire Darfur as a state till 1916. So from there, some of local people over there helped me, and they got me to desert into the Egyptian border, and then I crossed Egypt border as well, and then I got myself into Egypt, and that's what I come. But when I come to Egypt, first of all, in Egypt, the Sudan has embassy and consulate, and all the diplomats and the intelligence who serve for Sudan were the main people who were targeting us and in cooperation with Egyptian forces. And so, for example, when they found people who are meeting or have any symposium, they just come and enter and riot and take people and extradite to Sudan. So this is one of the targets that they do. They take you to the prison, and otherwise they hand over you to the Sudanese intelligence, and then Sudanese intelligence take you back to Sudan, and then you will face so many death penalty or all the things. And this is what happened. And so this is the things that people were scared, because if you are back, you will be dead. While you're working, someone will come and tap you with a knife, and this so many times happens in a particular group that it's a intelligence service or affiliated by intelligence services who are targeting Darfuris or people from South Sudan, because at that time South Sudan was not an independent state. So that was their goal, what they were doing. So from there we had no choice, and we had no place to go. For example, where can we hide? You can make a calculation, like to see where would you hide at least to protect yourself, not to be targeted. And if we see the directions, if you want to go back, you can't. And you can't go to Libya because otherwise you also will be killed. So we can't move forward, for example, like to go to Jordan or Saudi Arabia as well, because we have those countries that are also practicing dictatorship, and we are calling for democracy, secularism, in freedom of speech, freedom of different religions, ethnics, and everything that every human being has right to live in. So that was challenge point, and you can't live in a place where there is no democracy, where there is someone who still abuses the people's rights. And so that's why we turned to cross the Sinai Desert, and that was Egypt to Israel, and that was our border. But it was challenging also as well in Sinai Desert, because people spend so many days. Some of them were just it's frustrating. They got killed, abused by the Bedouin as well. And while I spent personally 4 days, over there in Sinai to cross the border. And when I came to the border, a lot of people were shot while we were entering. The Egyptian police shot some of the people, and then I was lucky and I was not shot, and I came and entered to the border. And when we came, inside, we spent like 5 minutes, and the Israeli forces came, and so they came and say, is there anyone who speaks English? And I say, I speak, yes, some. I can, translate. And they say, okay, so can you help us? Where do you come from? And why are you here? And I explained to them, so we're coming from Darfur, and we were in Egypt, but we were targeted as well. And that's why we crossed Egypt-Israeli border. So they took us to the detention center for 1 day. I was pretty lucky because I was not in the jail. So 1 day they released me, and then they took us to Beersheba. This is in the south of Israel. But they told us, go home. No, they told us, but I was asking and saying, where is the home? So because I knew nothing about Israel, and I didn't know, because the place where I come from, there is no television as well. And in Darfur, because it's not developed, and it's being, marginalized by the government, and we didn't have television or, internet or anything. In the village, there was no telephone as well. So I knew nothing about Beersheba. And I thought, my question is, where would I hate from here? And what was the most, horrific, it's because we came with no shoes. And, because we were running, crossing the border. But luckily, I found one of the ladies, and she's a Hebrew African-American who live in what's called in Daimuna. And she found us. 9 people are moving to the Beersheba street, and then people without shoes. And she said, oh, those people might be crazy. And she started asking us. And when I respond, she said, oh, so they speak English, and they are not, having shoes. And they say, where do you come from? I say, okay, we come from Darfur, and then Egypt, and then now we're in Israel, but we cross the border. We're not coming by airplane. And then, okay, she says, okay, so now I can help you. She took us to the market, and she bought some shoes for 9 people, and rented a car. That's Munishirut, and that's minibus. And then she said, okay, you can go to Tel Aviv. So we came to Tel Aviv, and then we found ourselves in Tel Aviv, but also we didn't know where is it. And I found one of my friends who was in Egypt, who was living with me in Egypt, and I found him in Levinsky Park. And it was like around 7 o'clock in the evening. Okay, that was in January. It was pretty cold, yeah, and rainy. And I told my friend, I'm sleepy, I want to sleep. He said, oh, but I didn't have home. He told me. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, yes, I didn't have home. I'm here 15 days in this park, and I have no place to sleep. So I can't help in this case, even though you're my friend. But me personally, I didn't have a place to sleep. And I said, okay, so what can we do? Let's arrange something.